Hi, this is Marina from Darkstar Astrology, and today we're looking at the full moon on December the 3rd this year, and it falls at 11 degrees Gemini Decan 2. So this full moon will fall in the constellation of Orion, which means the collective has a mind to be provocative and will enjoy living on the edge. The aspects of this full moon are a T-square with Neptune and a karmic quincunx aspect to Jupiter. Both these planets are connected with religion. So Neptune has a more esoteric and mystical approach, while Jupiter is associated with organized religions. Negatively, however, Jupiter has a tendency towards zealousness and extremism. So Orion is the most lusty phallic constellation in the sky, rivaling only Aries and Taurus in its virility. It also has quite a Jupiter quality as well. But where the ram and the bull are fueled by procreation and biology, Orion loves the conquest and courtship of sex. The chase is the best bit, lots of twists and turns, intrigue, titillation and teasing. The Gemini twins here then are extra inquisitive, intellectually daring, and their mind is as agile as their bodies. They need to have this acrobatic ability since their propensity for living on the edge means that they often have to make very narrow escapes. So watch out for some interesting mental manipulations and intellectual gymnastics in the media at this time. The truth, like Gemini, can be very, very flexible. Now, on a personal level, those touched by this full moon may find themselves torn between parental duties and their passions. The passion could be their career, life calling, or just wild and uncontrollable pleasure seeking. There will be the problem of wanting to be everything to everyone and spreading themselves far too thin. The most negative manifestation of this position could be a managerial or parental style that is controlling but disguised as nurturing. Or another tendency of this full moon could be that speed becomes a drug with an adrenaline buzz from riding the roller coaster between work and home. So these are the full moon aspects and the fixed star. So the fixed star is Tabit, which is found in the lion's skin that Orion holds in his hand so triumphantly. This is a great warrior and needs to display his trophies. So Orion will, according to Manilus, fashion alert minds and agile bodies, souls prompt to respond to duty's call, and hearts which press on with unflagging energy in spite of every trial. Orion's sexual energy seems to be about conquering territory. His sword hangs suggestively below his belt, and if you look at the naked Orion in the sky without light or pollution, without light pollution and cloud, the phallus is actually very clear. For the Egyptians, Orion was Osiris, and we know that his missing member was an important element of his resurrection. Now the full moon is square Neptune, so in positions of power, the moon's popularity and Neptune's mystique can be used as a smokescreen to cover up corruption. Those who work in the very Neptunian spiritual area can be tempted to abuse their caretaking guru position. So Neptune here rules deception, lies and delusions. Therefore, moon square Neptune can have criminal tendencies in its very lowest vibration. Now the moon can fall victim to negative Neptune because of its tendency to do things unconsciously. So the moon, i.e. the public, can be very easily hypnotized by Neptune's promise of salvation. Now the full moon is also quincunx Jupiter, so protection is big here, and parents will be incredibly nurturing, warm and generous to those in their care. Of course though, with Jupiter there's always the danger of going over the top. The temptation to indoctrinate children or pupils to fanatically follow a group's own beliefs is very high. So at this full moon, certain members of the public can't help but becoming completely enamoured by a belief system, be it political or religious. So now let's look at the full moon chart. Now the aspect pattern is a T-square to Neptune with an interfering quincunx from Jupiter, as we just said. So you can see in my Jupiter in Scorpio post and also the YouTube video, when Jupiter is in Scorpio, Decan 2, cult leaders and gurus will be out in force during Jupiter's longer stay in this decan. There will be genuine visionaries though too, so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there's definitely a competitiveness between the various belief systems, not to mention that we're coming up to Christmas. So, well, here we go. You know, what is going to be the most politically correct name that we can call the festive season this year? But hey, there are other myths to look at this full moon. So in the Anunnaki pantheon, Enki is Neptune and Enlil is Jupiter. So according to the Sumerians, Enlil requested the creation of a slave race, but then got tired of their noise and tried to kill them by sending a flood. Now, Enki is supposedly the good guy, and he's the original scientist creator god who tried to save humanity from the deluge sent to kill them. Now, there is speculation that the Abrahamic gods, i.e. Jehovah and Allah, are based on Enlil, according to Gerard Clark. He has a website called Planet of Gold, and I'll just link to it below, I guess. Now, of course, both Jupiter and Neptune rule Pisces, and this is the Redeemer age that's ending. And due to the precession of the equinoxes, we are heading into the constellation of Aquarius. Now, the water bearer is actually said to be Enki, the supposedly good guy. So he says, Gerald Clark, why do we find Angel Gabriel actively working for both Christianity and Islam? It's hard to understand why God had to create a religion, but even harder, why he had to create two religions. Are those religions meant to balance each other's power so that none of them could dominate the world, according to the doctrine divide and rule? So that's an interesting theory. You know, it's similar to the political compass test that I was looking at, and you know, the whole theory of, well, actually the Enlil-Enki theory, whether that would fit into that. But if that's the case, they're on sort of different polarities, really, because Enlil as Jupiter on the political compass test would be freedom. He'd be, we had authoritarianism as Saturn, and then libertarianism, not freedom, libertarianism as Jupiter. And then Enki, the scientist creator, he would be left as Neptune. So, I mean, I see Enki as a positive Neptune because, yeah, I mean, I've been pretty anti-Neptune in the past because I don't trust him, but that's only because he's being used in a negative way. But if he is, you know, if he is, as Gerard Clark says, if he is Enki, then, see, I would have thought that Enki, if he's the age of Aquarius, would be more Uranus. Anyway, it's all food for thought, really, isn't it? So in the T-square, there's an attempt by Neptune, which is Enki, ? To clean up Neptune's lowest vibration and turn it to that of the saviour. So this is how I'm kind of seeing it now. Enki, or shall we say Atlantean energy, is trying to break through and conduct retuning. But the quincunx, if we read it as Enlil, which is, you know, as Jupiter, could be trying to subvert this attempt at detoxification and pull Neptune to its lower vibration. And this is what I believe happened in the 1960s when there was a mass awakening against war on the planet. But then came LSD and all the tuning out. Neptune is music, of course, and so those, quote, good vibrations, unquote, can very easily become warped. And in some cases, literally. The quincunx is karmic adjustment, but it can also be very sneaky in its action also. Now, this full moon also falls very close to the Aldebaran-Antares axis. Now, these are two of the main four royal stars of Persia, and basically they signify the four corners of the cross of the year. So these actually are directly opposite each other. So they're very polarized, and Antares is always seen as sort of the anti-hero, and Aldebaran is always seen as kind of the heroic one. So technically this moon is in Gemini Decan 2 and it's close to Tabit, which is why I haven't focused too much on Aldebaran, which is the next nearest star on this full moon. But since we do have a theme of good twin Enki and bad twin Enlil, I thought this polarity, worth noting. So in my write-up of Aldebaran, you can clearly see the duel of the knight and the dragon. Aldebaran is the heroic moon, while Antares is the anti-hero sun for this moon, for this full moon opposition. And Antares literally does mean anti-Aries, so it is anti the hero, the anti-hero, the outsider. So we can use this full moon energy to examine how sometimes opposites are two sides of the same coin, and we can see this in comparative religions and take the esoteric route. There's definitely some mysteries trying to surface, but make sure to grab them before some dogmatic Jehovian tries to turn the positive enlightening energy into some vacuous media meme or divisive trending hashtag. Now, a good example of this, this is a bit sort of old news now, but in the UK we have Remembrance Day, and usually, people wear a red poppy to just remember the death of the World War I soldiers. And it's also, when you buy a poppy, the money goes to the injured veterans, and it goes to charity. So but people have now started to say that it glorifies war, and they released a white poppy which was seen as being a peace poppy. So it's this, it's already, it basically turned into, if you wear a red poppy, you're it's symbolic even in the colours, isn't it? That you're some kind of bloodlusting, war-mongering, glorifying colonialist. Anyway, and then if you had a white poppy, you were, peace and love and all that kind of stuff. But the ridiculous thing is that's the whole point of the red poppy, is not for it to happen again and to remember them. So it's just, a question of divide and conquer again, and people who wore the red poppy would feel guilty, and the people who wore the white poppy could go around being very, sanctimonious and smug and saying, well, I don't support war, as if people who wore the red poppy did support war. Just insane. So these are media creations built to divide people again. So I'm just thinking now, I don't know, what can they do to divide people at Christmas time? My sort of tongue-in-cheek, what I wrote on the post was, it could be something as silly as traditional Christmas trees are too Victorian and Queen Victoria was a colonist, so we can't have any Christmas trees that have red baubles on them because that signifies blood, and white, the white of Christmas, is supremacist, and gold is Trump, and you can see how far it just could get very silly. And then, you can't call it a Christmas tree. You now have to call it a holiday tree, and it will be decked with rainbow inclusive baubles and pink unicorns, or something like that. So anything is possible. Anything is possible with the media this year. If the Remembrance Day poppy could be divisive, then, a Christmas tree could as well. But I just want to mention, the Christmas adverts have come out in England for all the major stores, and they've managed to made it so that they don't offend anybody. Everybody's included. But I think what's a little bit sad, really, is that it's not remotely Christian. I'm not a practicing Catholic or anything like that, but I do think it's a little bit cheeky to take a Christian holiday and completely strip it of its meaning so that it just becomes a commercial, so that all these people buy more stuff from our stores basically and just forget about the spiritual meaning behind it. It is about the return of the sun, the return of the sun god, which is really, really important to the Northern Hemisphere, because, we're in our darkest days. And none of that really comes across in any of the adverts. It's just all about trying to outdo, each story is trying to outdo the other in its kind of progressiveness, really, how progressive they are. And it's as, you've got the traditional snow and the sort of Christmassy scenes. You've got that, the oldie worldy kind of feel of some of it, but it's all kind of progressive as well. So it's this kind of like unreality, this fake Christmas that nobody kind of really experiences, as far as I can see. Not the majority of people anyway. But anyway, this won't mean anything to anyone outside of England, so maybe I shouldn't really go on about it too much. But I mean, I'm sure there'll be equivalents in the States with how you. I don't think you can even say Happy Christmas, can you, anymore? I think it's mainly holidays now. So it's a different situation there. But basically, yeah, we're the Christian element, which is, to me, like I keep saying, esoteric Christianity. That's what I'm into now. That is really the soul of our nations. It really is. And it's not about being a Protestant, a Catholic, a Baptist, whatever it is. It's about the Northern Hemisphere and what winter means to us, and the winter solstice, really, and the connection to the earth. So Christmas trees, bless them. These things, I really hope I don't see any of the scenes. We don't see any of the scenes that happened last year of Christmas trees being set fire to and pulled down. And, I just think that's really, really sad. It's so symbolic. So, get your trees out proudly, decorate them in whatever the hell you like. I'll have 3 trees this year. I'll have one in the garden, one traditional Victorian one in my living room, which is real, and then I've got my white tinsel one in the kitchen with sort of pink and blue. That's my sort of modern Christmas tree. But and I've got a crib. Of course, I've got a crib. I've got a crib with a little baby Jesus in there too. So I'm just looking forward to the winter solstice when we have the return of the sun and the nights stop getting longer, because it's grim. I mean, in England at the moment it's getting dark at 4, so it is a dark time. It is. We do at least make up for it by having sparkly twinkly lights everywhere, so that's really sweet. So yeah, actually by the time of this full moon we'll probably be getting the decorations out of the attic, won't we? So all I want to say is, peace, love, goodwill to all, and just appreciate the fact that we in the West do have the freedom to celebrate with everyone, really. And as long as that's respected, I think, there's not a problem. Everyone's welcome and accepted into our Christmas. But just don't tell us what we can bloody well call it. That's all. That it's open to everyone. And if the word is offensive, I don't know what to say, really. Okay, I don't know what to say. Peace. Actually, you know what? It's probably not even any other religions who object to Christmas. It's usually atheistic liberals. They're the ones. And you know what? I don't think it offends any other religion. I think they really couldn't care less And I think it's these stupid liberals who make these things up, which is very patronising actually to the other religions, because yeah, I think they've got better things to do. Actually, they just want to get on with their lives, and all that does is rub up Christians the wrong way, because they're thinking, you know, why? It's making, actually, again, it's divide and conquer, because they're thinking that it's coming from the other religions when actually it's just coming from twatty liberals. So yes, that's it. So yeah, don't listen to the liberals, and stand your ground, and I think then everyone will be happy. So that brings me to the end. Do come to Darkstar Astrology if you want to get your, by the way, here's a plug for the 2018 horoscopes. They're all ready, and they're also with the decans this year. So that fine tunes it to within 10 degrees. So just in case you didn't know, your sign is divided into 3 sections of 10 degrees, and you'll get into predictions for that 10 degrees that you're born in as well. So come to the site if you want to know more. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.